So, if you've been following me for a while, you will know that I talk a lot about focus, whether that's directly saying that you need to find focus or indirectly through everything else that I create. And the reason that I do that is because I believe that focus, centered action on a specific task or goal or skill is the single most important thing when it comes to accomplishing a goal or improving on a skill or completing a task. I believe that without true focus or without, intentional, highly directed focus, that A, you waste energy, and B, you're never able to fully actualize your potential on a goal or action or, task. And I came to this realization because some of you might know kind of my back story a little bit, but for the sake of this video, I'll explain a little more. I have been an entrepreneurial, business-minded person my whole life. That in tandem with just being a creative person. And because of that, I tried just about everything. Just like most people I think in the space have. I've done freelancing from photography to graphic design to web design to drop shipping to literally like you name it. I have tried. And counter to maybe some other people in the space, I never had incredible success at any specific one. Towards more recent years, as far as like freelancing goes, began to find like more success. And I think that just came because of time and effort. But the other things I struggled to find success at. And looking back now, I realize it was simply because I lacked focus. And I remember vividly back in I think this was about 2021. At the time, I was a real estate agent. I'd gotten my real estate license because I thought it would make me a lot of money. And then that money would in turn make me happy. And it was a really weird point in my life. And I knew deep down that I hated what I was doing. I was broke. I disliked what I did. It felt like there was like a constant tightness in my chest. I was constantly stressed out. I stayed up at night. I couldn't fall asleep. And I was just like a mess. And I remember driving back from my parents' house one night with my girlfriend in the car. And we're just talking about life and our goals and what we wanted. And I remember her asking me, what do you want to do? What do you want the future you to be doing? And it's such a stupidly simple question, but I knew the answer. I knew the answer right away. I didn't even have to think about it. And it's funny because I think what stops us from doing what we want is admitting to ourselves that we just need to do it. And what we're doing right now is not what we want. And for me, what I wanted to do is I knew I wanted to get paid for my creativity. At the time, I didn't know exactly what that looked like, but I knew that that is what I wanted to do. And I knew that that was what I've always wanted to do, was to just find a way to get paid for my creativity. And admitting that obviously showed that what I was doing at the time was not the right thing. And the reason I bring that up is because of the reason that I was doing that thing. Not necessarily the reason, but why it was bad. Focus stops you from constantly bouncing between new ideas or new ventures and allows you to make real progress in one facet of your life. Now, this doesn't mean to not try things. I think that everyone should try things and find out what they enjoy through self-reflection and, trial and error and failing and trying again. But you can't even get to that point if you do not dedicate yourself to something for long enough. And focus is a solution to that problem. Without focus, you're constantly going to be bouncing between things, bouncing between ideas. You're never going to find success, and you're not going to know why. I see it so often with especially creators is they start something new, and when they don't find success immediately, they just give up. And they think that they're just not made for it, or it's just not going to work for them. When in reality, what they lack is focus. Like they can't do it for long enough because they can't focus on the one thing for long enough. I can guarantee you that if you put out half-ass content or half-ass anything on the internet for more than 6 months consistently, you will find growth and success. And to me, like that is the definition of focus and why focus is so important. Because without focus, you have no direction. You don't know where you're going. You don't stick at something long enough to actually make real progress within that thing. Typically, people do not lack skills. They lack focus. If you've been going at the business thing, like the solopreneur or just the entrepreneurial path for more than like 5 years, and it's still not working, chances are it's not because you lack skills. If you've truly been doing it for that long, you have everything you need to be moderately successful. You've learned things along the way. And so if you know what you need to do and yet it's still not working for you, chances are it's because you're not doing it for long enough or being intentional with what you're doing, because you're being distracted or you're being pulled in another direction. And this isn't something that just disappears with time or improvement either. I think it's very easy to see people that have massive success online and assume that they have mastered the art of focus, which may be that they have mastered focus, but more so it gets more difficult as you grow and as you improve, because the things that distract you and that will try to take away your focus, which is a finite resource, the things that try to take it away become much more rewarding or desirable. Like the dollar signs that come associated with them get even bigger. It's not one of those things where you just focus at the bottom and it's like it's like a pyramid. It's not like the distractions disappear. The distractions are still there, but your focus as a skill just has to improve to adjust to that. Because early on, yeah, if you're starting a brand new business and there's nothing and you're presented with this massive opportunity that is kind of in your realm, it might make sense to be distracted by that and shift your focus that way. But when you get to a point where you're already finding success and you've grown, those things just, you need to be more strict upon yourself with deciding if they deserve your focus or not. So how do you find focus? I don't think focus is something that you discover necessarily, where it's like you're searching for a specific thing and it just like pops up and you're like, oh, I get it now, it clicks. I believe that it's a skill that is built upon and improved upon over time through doing things that you enjoy or through finding out what you do not enjoy. Frankly, there has to be a trial and error phase. Like you have to do shit that you don't like to discover what you do like. But once you discover the thing that you do like, you have to develop that focus to stick with it for a long time. For example, in my life, I have always been a creative. I started off as a graphic designer and then I've gotten into photography and video. And those skills and those things have always been a recurring theme or pursuit within my life. But in between each of those things, I would try different things just for the sake of trying them, thinking that that was what I wanted to do, whether it was drop shipping or social media marketing or whatever that might be. But the recurring theme was me being a creative. So I knew the whole time that that was what I wanted to do. It just took the years of trial and error and failing to realize that is what I really needed to do or wanted to do. And that's how I would be able to make a living doing what I love. So I think focus is found through doing that, found through doing the things that you don't enjoy until you find something that you can focus on easily, and then being intentional and being aware and conscious of sticking to that. So when the new shiny thing approaches you for the 7th time, rather than taking a break from the thing that you know is your one thing, you say no and you continue with what you are doing, because that in essence is what focus is. I know that so many people these days struggle to find progress and success or any sort of accomplishment in their lives. And they are confused as to why, because they've read the books, they've bought the courses, they've watched the videos, they've studied, they've done all the business things that people tell them to do, and yet they don't find success. And looking at that from the outside in, knowing and from being that person and understanding that, it's clear now that it's simply focus, because focus is, again, a finite resource. You do not have unlimited focus. It's not as simple as being like, oh, 4 hours of my day, I'm going to focus on this hustle. And then 4 hours of my day, I'm going to be focusing on this hustle. It's kind of like what's the saying? The jack of all trades, master of none. When you're starting off, you cannot afford to do that. You just need to pick one thing and focus on it. And I guarantee that will solve 99% of people's problems is just by simply focusing on the thing. And focus doesn't look like waking up at the same time every day and having the same amount of deep work and, being highly efficient every single day. I don't mean focus in the sense of productivity focus, whereas that is very important. And there are definitely ways that you can improve upon that and that will improve your overall lifestyle and growth. This is more so directed at just life focus as a whole, seeing a clear goal and doing everything that you know you need to do to get there, rather than being easily influenced by distractions that are going to move you in the opposite direction. Because at the end of the day, that is really what all of this is how quickly, it's not a race, but you get to your goal faster by being less distracted by the distractions that try to knock off your focus. Like, imagine a world where it's just a linear line and you're at point A, you're trying to get to point B. Pure focus would just be a straight line. The opposite of that would be, tangents and random lines moving off of the line, pulling you away. So eventually, yeah, you might get to point B, but it's much further in the future. Having focus as a skill removes those tangents and gets you closer and closer to a point of just pure focus. Whereas I'm at point A, I'm trying to get to point B, and I will do everything that I need on this line to get there, and everything off of the line is completely irrelevant to me. So if you feel like you're not finding the success that you want, reflect and ask yourself, have I been doing this long enough? And have I been giving this my full attention and energy? Chances are, if you are honest with yourself, like truly honest with yourself, the answer is no. The answer is that you have not been giving it the attention that it needs. Because you might be giving it the attention that you want, but you're not giving it the attention that it needs. And that comes with focus. So if the answer is no, I have not, then direct your focus purely at that thing for 6 months. And I promise you, in that 6 months, you will see more growth than you have seen in your entire life.